Oh my god, they killed Genji! Sorry, that was just too easy of a South Park joke. But either way, yeah, holy crap. I did not expect this new episode of My Hero to kick off the way it did. So yeah, let's get right into the review. Oh yeah, for the few of you who did actually watch my update video, I kind of flipped it a little bit because I figured Fairy Tail doesn't come out until well after I'm at work today, which means that I'm not going to be able to get a review done today for it. Otherwise, I'll be up till midnight, and it's probably not going to be out until later. So this is coming out, and then the day before I leave, which is tomorrow, the day before I leave on vacation, is when I will post Fairy Tail. So that's all there is to it. Let's get started with the review, like I said. So this episode definitely had a lot more, not so much more screen time with the villains, but a lot more story going on with the villains right out of the gate. There's a lot more getting set up with them, but we're going to go back to that in a second. Let's start with where the episode started, which is the Class 1A students looking for work studies. And the work studies are apparently a little bit different from what they did with their internships because they will actually be participating in more than just a sort of internship by the side of the heroes, but not actually doing much. They will actually be participating in a lot of the activities. And of course, the first thing Deku does is call up Gran Torino, and Gran Torino says, "Oh yeah, you're that worthless kid, or the useless kid, or whatever he called him," and said he can't help him, but he did recommend another character who we saw at the tail end of last season, which was Sir Nighteye, and yeah, I'm really interested in this character because he apparently, while being very stoic and intense, is all about humor, and also apparently had a falling out with All Might because he used to be one of All Might's sidekicks. So I'm really interested in this character, but with that being said, All Might is not about the work study. We'll get to that in a minute, but I liked the fact that Gran Torino was just like, I'm not doing it, but hey, why not ask him about his sidekick? And then it kind of sparked a whole other little story that I don't know what is going to happen with that. I can, however, kind of pull from the opening that there was something that must have happened with the two of them after either All Might's injury that caused him to begin losing his quirk the way he did, or something like that. I'm not sure. Because he's still in his full All Might form when we see that clip in the opening. So I don't know if that was just his first, one of the injuries, or if that was something even more major. But yeah, we can clearly see in the opening there was a falling out between these two. Anyway, right after the opening scene, which pretty much just stood to show that Deku's looking for a work study and to introduce Nighteye, we now get to the villains. And this is massive. This is huge for the story of what they're kind of setting up with these villains. So twice, as we saw at the end of last episode, is taking Overhaul to visit the League of Villains, and it's kind of interesting because originally, and as you can see, the other villains thought the same thing, I thought he was going there to join them, or at least to sort of negotiate with them about how they can work together. And part of that was true, but not quite in the way that I thought, nor the way that Shigaraki thought. But we learned that Overhaul is basically just a Yakuza member, and I say just because they used to be very powerful, and once the rise of heroes, especially the Symbol of Peace, showed up, they sort of became base rank criminals. They didn't really have much to contribute to the world of villainy other than being guns for hire. Which is interesting because I would have assumed that the Yakuza, being as, powerful as they were, getting quirks would have been sort of the extra oomph they would have needed to become even more powerful, but apparently not. But anyway, the interaction between the two of them doesn't go too well because Shigaraki wants Overhaul to join them, but Overhaul wants them to join him. And they, of course, kind of see him as just a amateur class villain. They see him as just, oh, you're Yakuza, it doesn't matter. And that was a big mistake. Because Overhaul points out, and actually it's a pretty good point, that, these guys had Muscular, they had Moonfish, they had the Hero Killer Stain, they had all of these, top-ranking villains right at their side, at their disposal, and they wasted all of them. And of course, now that presumably both sides, the good and evil, have no leaders because All Might's gone, and that leaves it to Endeavor, and I really don't think Endeavor is the symbol of peace type. And we had All for One, who is now locked up and doesn't really... I guess he kind of has a say. I don't know if he has like a telepathic link with Shigaraki or not, but either way, both sides have no leaders, and I'm kind of piecing together that Shigaraki and Overhaul both want to become the leaders, but I don't know who's gonna take it, because Shigaraki has the very like almost childish ambition to do it, and Overhaul has the cold, calculating Yakuza mindset to do it. So we'll see. But at the point that Overhaul says that he wants to have them join him so that he can lead them and use them the way that he needs, yeah, they don't take too kindly to that, and Shigaraki tells Kenji to attack. And she attacks. Oof. Yeah, they straight up killed a surprisingly big, long-standing villain. Not long-standing so much, but a villain who actually was a very large contribution to the conflict of last season. Just exploded. Talk about going out with a bang. Damn. Because we sort of saw what Overhaul was capable of last season when he like melded these villains into like a truck in the road, and it was really nasty. But he basically just taps on Kenji, and that was all it took. All right. Jesus. But then after this is where things get really interesting, because this is when we see Mr. Compress jump in and try to attack, and something flies in and hits him in the arm. And so it hits him in the arm, and he can't compress Overhaul. It's really weird. I was so confused by this, and the more time I had to think about it, I've got a couple ideas. But either way, gets close enough to Overhaul, and Overhaul literally like blows his arm off. So now we've got one guy dead and one guy with no arm and potentially no quirk. And here's where my theory comes from. He wonders where his quirk went, like why it wasn't working. And then afterwards, he keeps saying, like, my quirk didn't work, my quirk. They focused in on him saying that his quirk didn't work. And I'm wondering if that thing that hit him in the arm, I wonder if that actually temporarily disabled or completely disabled his quirk. But apparently we can see that is sort of what was going on, is something that was hitting them was disabling their quirk. So that has some pretty big implications down the road. But then Shigaraki jumps in, the other bullet misses, and this is when everybody who is part of Overhaul's gang jumps in to help, and Shigaraki just evaporates this one dude, just like completely disintegrates him. And so he said, even at the end, Overhaul even said, like, I owe you an arm or something like that, because there was a death on both sides, and then Mr. Compress lost his arm. And that was pretty much the end of the interaction. Overhaul seemed pretty calm and collected, and just whenever you're calm and ready to talk, here's my card. And I don't think that's going to happen, knowing the way this Shigaraki is, because he's still very childish, and that's sort of his downfall when it comes to his leadership and his ability to actually get villains to do what he wants them to do in a group. And this is where I also think that there might be a telepathic link between him and to All for One, just because of the fact that All for One has this whole monologue talking to Shigaraki, and he's just sitting in prison, obviously. But then after that really tense moment, we're back at UA, and it's kind of all over the place with the way that this work study goes, because there was sort of a group in the school who didn't want any sort of like work studies for students this young, All Might included. And then there were others who said, well, I mean, if we want to encourage these students who are willing to push themselves harder, why not? And we discovered that All Might was against it because Deku asks him to introduce him to Sir Nighteye. And as a result, he says, I can't introduce you. I was against it. But then he emphasizes, I can't introduce you. And this is where we get one of my favorite characters. He is already my favorite character, and I haven't had much time to see him interact with others, and I love his character. I gotta say that Mirio Togata is one of my favorite characters of the series. He is like the epitome of an upbeat, happy character. Like, if the story didn't revolve around Deku and his struggles and his story, I would be completely happy with a Mirio story. He is such an awesome character, and I love it. Because we discover that Mirio is actually working with Sir Nighteye, and it was just this happenstance that works out well because Deku wants to meet him and work for him and be introduced, and Mirio works for him. So there you go. Because we see later, or actually sort of in the same time frame, that All Might had something happen between the two of them, and he ended up exactly where Sir Nighteye said he would end up. So whatever that means, I guess something happened that they didn't agree on, and it ruined their relationship as friends. And this is where All Might asks Mirio if Deku has what it takes. And it's so cool to see, like, Mirio seems to be this just happy-go-lucky, it's not dumb but not smart vault boy looking character, suddenly changed to a contemplative. He contemplates. He's a more thoughtful character, I guess is the way that I'm trying to put it. When it comes to hero work, he is very thoughtful. He has a drive, a goal. He understands where Deku's coming from and the fact that Deku wants to be the best no matter what. And he sees that in Deku and he says, sure, why not? You've got what it takes, why not? And it was a big moment for Deku, and of course Mirio is just like, yeah, cool, I have no reason to say no, why not? I love that character. And after this, they go to the headquarters. It was a couple days later. They go to the headquarters, and Mirio tells Deku that there is one thing that he should do with Sir Nighteye, which is to make him smile, which is an odd request, but apparently that's, like I said, where we learn, of course, that he has a good sense of humor while still being very strict and that kind of stuff. So this didn't go well, and this was where the episode ended. Now, one of the things before we get to the very end that we notice with Sir Nighteye is that he watches videos of All Might. And we see this because while his sidekick is reading off the information about the attack that happened with Overhaul and the League of Villains, he's looking at videos of All Might saving people, the video that Deku used to watch all the time. And of course, I've been watching Fire Force too much, so when he tells her that, she needs to be more energetic and cheerful and laughing, I immediately was just like, La Tome, because I knew that he was going to just do something, I just didn't know what. And then we see what after Mirio and Deku open the door. He apparently has like a tickle torture machine. So yeah, that's something. And Deku immediately goes into trying to make him laugh as a good first impression. And he ends up impersonating All Might, and he doesn't, Sir Nighteye doesn't take too kindly to that. So at the very end of the episode, Mirio's just like, he's not funny. So I'm actually kind of thinking that if Deku manages to become an apprentice to Sir Nighteye, this may be a good opportunity for him to learn not only how to be a good hero, but also how to be a hero that not only smiles, but can lighten a situation. And there's a lot bigger things to being a hero that smiles that could probably help him when it comes to being a hero, but being someone that the public can relate to, so he doesn't just seem like this lofty hero. But apart from that, that was the rest of the episode. That was how it ended. And, man, there was a whole lot that happened with the villains that I was actually more amazed by, like how much happened with the villain side. And there's some stuff that leads up that I'm sure will be paid off at some point with Deku and with Mirio, which, again, like I said, Mirio is probably one of my favorite characters now, period. But I definitely feel like there's going to be more to come with the villains, and I'm actually really excited to see what Sir Nighteye thinks of Deku, more so now because the initial first impression was just trash for Deku, so I guess we'll see what happens. But either way, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this review. I am loving this series so far. I'm glad that it's come out right as Fairy Tail's ending because, man, I am not happy that Fairy Tail's going to be over today. When I'm recording this, it'll be the very last episode. But, yeah, we've got My Hero Academia to make up for it. So I'll continue to enjoy that. I hope you guys will as well. But apart from that, thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, check out the links in the description. If you guys don't see the ad running at the end, I have shirts, but I'll let that do its thing. But otherwise, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Make sure to be there, and have a good one. Hey guys, just hopping in at the end here. Thanks for watching through the whole video. I hope you enjoyed it. I do still have merch. I've actually had it for quite a while, but not a lot of people know about it or care. And so if you guys want to support me or check it out just because it looks cool, go to the link in the description. You can see some of the designs I have, like the Steel Frodo in Steins Gate design, or even the Mob Psycho 100 design, and maybe even buy one if you like it, or don't. I cried myself to sleep at night anyway. So either way, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.